Mipa Universitas Andalas memiliki tim pengajar yang terdiri dari dosen-dosen yang berpengalaman dan berdedikasi tinggi dalam pengembangan ilmu pengetahuan. Para dosen juga proaktif dalam berbagai kegiatan penelitian dan pengabdian masyarakat sebagai salah satu bentuk tanggung jawab terhadap lingkungan hidup dan komitmen untuk membantu memberikan solusi nyata pada berbagai masalah yang dihadapi masyarakat. Pendidikan di FMIPA Universitas Andalas melibatkan pendekatan multidisipliner yang memungkinkan mahasiswa untuk memiliki pemahaman yang holistik terhadap masalah dan tantangan yang kompleks. Hal ini merupakan nilai tambah nantinya di dunia kerja yang membutuhkan keahlian yang tidak hanya terbatas pada satu bidang ilmu. Saat ini, FMIPA Universitas Andalas terdiri dari 4 departemen, yaitu Matematika dan Sains Data, Biologi, Kimia, dan Fisika. Departemen Matematika dan Sains Data secara proaktif Fakultas Matematika dan Ilmu Pengetahuan Alam Universitas Andalas. Berdiri sejak tahun 1955, Fakultas Matematika dan Ilmu Pengetahuan Alam atau yang lebih dikenal sebagai FMIPA Universitas Andalas telah menjadi salah satu fakultas terbaik di Universitas Andalas yang selalu mengedepankan inovasi untuk kejayaan bangsa. Visi ini didukung oleh misi untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang berkualitas, mendorong riset dan inovasi, serta berkontribusi positif pada pengembangan ilmu pengetahuan. FMIPA Universitas Andalas memiliki tim pengajar yang terdiri dari dosen-dosen yang berpengalaman dan berdedikasi tinggi dalam pengembangan ilmu pengetahuan. Para dosen juga proaktif dalam berbagai kegiatan penelitian dan pengabdian masyarakat sebagai salah satu bentuk tanggung jawab terhadap lingkungan hidup dan komitmen untuk membantu memberikan solusi nyata pada berbagai masalah yang dihadapi masyarakat. Pendidikan di FMIPA Universitas Andalas melibatkan pendekatan multidisipliner yang memungkinkan mahasiswa untuk memiliki pemahaman yang holistik terhadap masalah dan tantangan yang kompleks. Hal ini merupakan nilai tambah nantinya di dunia kerja yang membutuhkan keahlian yang tidak hanya terbatas pada satu bidang ilmu. Saat ini, FMIPA Universitas Andalas terdiri dari 4 departemen, yaitu Matematika dan Sains Data, Biologi, Kimia, dan Fisika. Departemen Matematika dan Sains Data secara proaktif melatih mahasiswa untuk berpikir logis, kritis, inovatif, agar mampu menyelesaikan masalah di masyarakat dan industri dengan mengembangkan penelitian pada berbagai bidang terkait. Departemen Biologi menawarkan pendidikan yang mampu memberikan solusi pada berbagai masalah yang secara langsung berdampak pada makhluk hidup dan kehidupannya, serta bertekad menjadi departemen yang unggul dalam mengkaji dan mengembangkan biodiversitas dan konservasi sumber daya hayati tropika. Program studi S1 dan S2 Biologi telah meraih akreditasi internasional ICIN. Departemen Kimia memiliki tekad untuk memperkuat penelitian di bidang sumber energi alternatif dan terbarukan, serta material maju dan nanomaterial. Hal ini dibuktikan dengan akreditasi internasional RSC pada program sarjana yang menjadikan departemen mampu berkompetisi di tingkat internasional dengan pengembangan teori dan penerapan ilmu kimia berbasis kekayaan alam hayati dan non-hayati. Departemen Fisika memberikan kesempatan bagi mahasiswa untuk memperoleh pemahaman yang mendalam tentang prinsip-prinsip fisika dalam penelitian berkelanjutan, mendukung inovasi sains dan teknologi, terutama pada bidang mitigasi bencana, rekayasa material, kesehatan, dan energi terbarukan. Mipa Universitas Andalas menyediakan fasilitas pendidikan modern untuk mendukung kegiatan belajar mengajar dan penelitian. Melalui praktikum dan eksperimen, mahasiswa memiliki kesempatan untuk menguji teori, mengembangkan keterampilan praktis, dan memahami proses ilmiah secara mendalam. Laboratorium juga menciptakan lingkungan belajar yang stimulatif. Mipa Universitas Andalas menjalin kerjasama dengan berbagai industri dan institusi akademis di tingkat nasional maupun internasional. Hal ini membuka peluang bagi mahasiswa untuk magang industri, melakukan pertukaran mahasiswa, ataupun kolaborasi penelitian. Dengan pengalaman tersebut, diharapkan nanti lulusan Mipa Universitas Andalas memiliki prospek karir yang lebih cemerlang di berbagai sektor, termasuk industri, riset, pendidikan, dan pemerintahan. Selain kegiatan akademis, para mahasiswa Mipa Universitas Andalas juga diberikan kesempatan untuk mengembangkan berbagai potensi diri melalui kegiatan unit mahasiswa. Berbagai prestasi di ajang kompetisi ilmiah tingkat nasional, bahkan internasional, dapat diraih oleh mahasiswa sebagai bukti bahwa kualitas pendidikan dan pembinaan yang diberikan oleh Mipa Universitas Andalas kepada mahasiswa sangat baik. FMIPA Universitas Andalas bukan hanya tempat untuk memperoleh pengetahuan ilmiah, tetapi juga tempat untuk mengembangkan karakter, kreativitas, dan pemikiran kritis. Dengan komitmen pada standar akademis yang tinggi dan fokus pada penelitian ilmiah, FMIPA Universitas Andalas berkomitmen untuk terus melakukan inovasi pada pengembangan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi untuk membentuk generasi penerus yang berkualitas demi kejayaan bangsa.
Tes. Bapak Ibu tamu undangan beserta rekan-rekan mahasiswa yang kami hormati, sebelum acara kita mulai, izinkan saya mengawali dengan sebuah pantun. Daun salam, daun sawit, yang jawab salam saya doakan banyak duit. Daun salam, daun katu, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Kebahagiaan bagi kita semua dapat hadir dan berkumpul bersama-sama di ruangan Dekanat Fakultas Mipa pada hari ini. Dan tentunya semakin lengkap karena telah hadir bersama dengan kita. Yang terhormat, Wakil Dekan 1 Fakultas Mipa, Bapak Profesor Dr. Atmi Nazra MSI. Yang kami hormati, Manajer Bidang 1, Ibu Dr. Diana Vanda Welia MSI. Yang kami hormati, Guru Besar Tenaga Pendidik dan Kependidikan yang ada di lingkup Fakultas Mipa Universitas Andalas. Yang kami hormati, narasumber luar biasa kita yaitu Ibu Associate Profesor Dr. Nur Kartini binti Abu Bakar, beserta Bapak Ibu tamu undangan dan rekan-rekan mahasiswa yang berbahagia. Puji syukur kita haturkan kepada Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan yang Maha Esa, atas nikmat dan hidayah yang melimpah sehingga kita dapat hadir dalam acara Mipa Academic Talk Series 14 yang hari ini. Dengan tema Method Development for Determination of Multi-Class Pharmaceutical Residues in Wastewater. Sebelumnya, Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan mahasiswa, izinkan saya memperkenalkan diri terlebih dahulu. Saya Nur Hasni, mahasiswa S1 Kimia Angkatan 2021, selaku MC pada acara siang hari ini. Seterusnya saya ucapkan selamat datang kepada seluruh Bapak Ibu tamu undangan beserta rekan-rekan mahasiswa yang telah hadir pada acara Mipa Academy Talk pada hari ini. Semoga acara ini dapat memberikan manfaat dan keberkahan nantinya bagi kita semua. Hadirin yang berbahagia, acara selanjutnya. Kata sambutan oleh Dekan Fakultas Mipa Universitas Andalas. Dalam hal ini diwakilkan oleh Bapak Wakil Dekan 1. Kepada yang terhormat, Bapak Profesor Dr. Atmi Nazra MSI. Disilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Yang sama kita hormati narasumber kita pada siang ini, Ibu Associate Profesor Dr. Nur Kartini. Kebetulan beliau ada kunjungan ke Departemen Kimia ya. Kemudian Ibu Manajer, staf pengajar seluruhnya di Fakultas Mipa. Dan juga moderator kita nanti Bapak Dr. Pak Jerry kita panggilnya, Pak Matlan ya. Baik, kegiatan MIPA Academic Talk ini Prof, kita biasanya setiap bulan adakan pembicaranya dari dalam negeri atau luar negeri atau staf di sini juga gitu, ya. Jadi kita biasakan atmosfer akademiknya itu bisa berjalan dengan baik sehingga bisa sharing pengetahuan gitu ya. Dan itu dikirimkan biasanya ke masing-masing departemen. Ya, misalnya bulan ini dari chemistry, besok dari mathematics gitu kan. Nah, jadi ini kegiatan rutin kita di Fakultas Mipa. Dan kebetulan kalau ada tamu asing, ya kita langsung ya, kita langsung minta kesediaan untuk mengisi ini gitu. Ya. Jadi kita terima kasih atas kesediaan Prof untuk bisa memberikan sharing insight-nya ya, pencerahannya yang dihadiri oleh juga peneliti maupun mahasiswa ya. Beasiswa S1 maupun S2 gitu, S3 juga. Ya, kami atas nama pimpinan fakultas mengucapkan terima kasih sebesar-besarnya atas kesediaan Ibu Prof Kartini, dan itu juga peserta, terima kasih banyak telah aktif mengikuti kegiatan ini, dan ini tentu kita bisa memanfaatkan terus untuk, ini salah satu bentuk kerjasama sebenarnya ya, kerjasama antara dengan Andalas gitu ya, dalam bentuk sharing pengetahuan, riset gitu ya. Mudah-mudahan ini bisa terus berlanjut sehingga bisa memberikan manfaat untuk kedua institusi gitu ya. Ini demikian saja dari saya selaku pimpinan fakultas, dan saya mohon izin juga setelah ini dan ada meeting tempat lain gitu ya. Ya, mohon izin. Demikian saja. Wabillahi taufiq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Acara selanjutnya, penyampaian materi oleh narasumber kita yang akan dipandu oleh Bapak Dr. Eng Matlal Fajri Alif selaku moderator. Sebelumnya, izinkan saya untuk membacakan CV beliau. Beliau adalah seorang dosen di Departemen Kimia Fakultas Mipa Universitas Andalas dan telah menempuh pendidikan S1 dan S2 di Universitas Andalas serta studi S3 di Nagoya University, Jepang. Saat ini fokus riset beliau tentang environmental chemistry, waste valorization, and renewable energy. Untuk itu, waktu sepenuhnya saya serahkan kepada Bapak Dr. Eng Matlal Fajri Alif. Dipersilakan.
Baik, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, Pak Kepala Departemen, Bapak Sukri, kemudian Ibu Direktur Akademik, Bu Diana, Bapak Ibu dosen semua, serta yang teristimewa tamu kita, Asosiat Profesor, Ibu Dr. Nur Kartini binti Abu Bakar. Selamat datang Ibu di FMIPA UNAN, kemudian juga kepada Bapak Dr. Asman. Selamat datang Pak, jumpa lagi ya Pak ya. Oke, baik, tadi CV belum ya dibacakan oleh Hasni. Dari CV oleh tamu kita sekarang ini, Ibu Associate Professor Dr. Nur Kartini. Beliau ini bachelornya dari University Malaya. Kemudian PhD-nya di University of Wales di UK. Area of expertise beliau adalah Analytical Environmental Chemistry. Kemudian beliau ini juga Halal and Risk Assessment. Ya, sama dengan Bu Profesor Safni ini ya. Beliau juga ini Bu halal expert juga. Kemudian Aquatic Pollutant Management, Conservation and Remediation. Ya, itu saja sedikit CV dari beliau. Beliau sekarang ini menjabat sebagai Head of Department since Februari 2022. Ya. Tanpa untuk mempersingkat waktu, saya berikan waktu kepada Ibu Asosiat Prof. Dr. Nur Kartini untuk menyampaikan bahannya. Nanti akan lanjutkan dengan sesi tanya jawab. Terima kasih. Ini sudah Zoom. Masuk ke Zoom dulu. Sudah masuk. Belum masuk.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Saya pada ini ingin berkongsi sedikit kerja yang dilakukan oleh saya, student saya, 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, more than that. It's about method development for detection and removal of multi-class pharmaceutical residue in wastewater. Mungkin saya boleh share, tak payah campur-campur bahasa. My student, PhD student, Usam Karna, this is one of my PhD students from Palestine, now US. This student she with me since master by construct for instrumental analytical industry. Okay, and then the post position by one of collaborator from IBM, Mipa. This is the outline of my work. Basically, before I focus on the current issue, based on the same thing, it's about the pharmaceutical residue in the water system. But because the sharing, the work has been done about 2015 for almost 10 years. So before we go further about the work done, let us have a look at the current issue based on the same pollutant, called as pharmaceutical residue in surface water and wastewater. So back to the latest publication on this pollutant. In this presentation, I'm going to share with you about two works done by Dave in 2022. And then another paper from China. So the work have been done for the same pollutant, which are the pharmaceutical residue from different area, one from Europe and another from China within a short period, about 2-3 years ago. Okay. So basically, when we look at this work nowadays. The pharmaceutical pollutant have been changed a bit in terms of the trend. Okay, at that time when I start doing this with my students, we just focus on the conventional drugs or pharmaceutical found in the wastewater at that time. But for the time being, when I gone through the literature review, it seems that it's look like that the drugs have been predominance in the wastewater, and then on the surface water nowadays is more focused on the drugs, more specific, what we call as a psychoactive pharmaceutical. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with this word or not, but this is an example of a class of pharmaceutical primary use to treat a mental disorder and illness. So we call it as a psychoactive pharmaceutical or psychopharmaceuticals. Okay. So nowadays, researcher in method development, they more focus on this type of drugs because this drug actually is have adverse effect. The impact of the negative, or what we call it as adverse effect, is more dangerous as compared the conventional one. Because this drug actually used to treat mental disorder and illness, as well as other conditions relating to the nervous system, such as analgesic, painkiller, and anesthetics. It seems that today, in our modern life, and then everywhere, whether in China, in Europe, even in Asia, I'm not sure here, because this is based on the work that has been done 2022 in Europe, in the surface water, whereas in China, the latest 2025 in the wastewater treatment plant. Okay, the same focus on the pharmaceutical residue. Why nowadays is focused more on this pharmaceutical? Because of the increases or growing number of the psychopharmaceutical based treatment, okay? Because of perhaps many people have mental disorder or illness based on this, right? So the consumptions of this type of drug is perhaps increases. So global access to these psychopharmaceuticals, and because of the global populations, also an aging population in several regions, loss of social stigma, and also increased availability of mental health treatment. So that's why this type of drugs actually we can find in our water system nowadays. So a little bit overview about the occurrence of pharmaceutical residue in aquatic environment. Okay, it seems that nowadays increased widespread occurrence of these pharmaceutical and their transformations product in our aquatic environment. So previous work, it seems that the pharmaceutical have been reported in aquatic environment since 1970s. Yeah? But specific concern for psychopharmaceuticals was only raised in the late 1990s. See, this is based on the literatures. Yeah? So consequently, there has been a significant increase in the amount of data on the occurrence of psychopharmaceutical and their transformation products in surface water, which attribute to the advancement in analytical techniques such as high liquid chromatography, high resolution mass spec nowadays. Because why we have to use a very sophisticated instrument, high resolution mass spec, due to this type of the pharmaceutical residue can be found in very trace level, up to nanogram to picogram per liter. So that's why the instrument that can be used to detect at these levels, we can use LC, high resolution mass spec. Okay. So why we need to detect? Because before we go to the method development and how to detect these pharmaceutical in water system, so we have to know for the what purpose we collect the data. Okay, for what purpose? Because we want to, because of once this type of drug enters the aquatic environment, actually it will give the adverse effect or negative impact to not only human, only aquatic system and ecosystem itself. So for example here, antidepressant, for example, can affect predator behavior in base, impact tissues metabolic capacities, and may compromise the adaptive response in when accumulate through gills or through the food chain. Yeah? So the adverse effect of the illicit drug have also been observed, but less study have been done compared to the conventional pharmaceutical. Yeah? Because to detect this, perhaps it needs more sophisticated instrument. Yeah? Outside the aquatic environment, acute effects of the psychopharmaceutical, such as changes in psychological or foraging behavior, have been reported in birds. What does it mean by acute effects? So when we learn about kimia lingkungan, about environmental chemistry. So there is a difference between acute effects and chronic effects, right? So it's a difference between these two. So the acute meaning that with a small amount, the pollutant or toxic compound that entering our body, for example, then it will kill us, for example, right? Just very acute, meaning that in small amount, we can be give the effect simultaneously. But for the chronic, perhaps it takes a longer time, perhaps more than 5 years or more than 1 month exposure to that particular toxic compound, then it will give the effect. Yeah? So this is the difference between acute effects and the chronic effects. So beyond ecological effects, there is also concern about the human safety because of the presence of the psychopharmaceutical in drinking waters. Because nowadays, even in 2018 and 2014, at certain area, these have been found in drinking water as well. So meaning that, from where it's come from? Okay, because we, as a researcher, before we start investigating, we have to know the pollutant when it's entering the environment, okay, whether to the atmospheric or hydrosphere, okay, aquatic system. So we have to know from where it's come from, right? So do you think from where it's come from? Okay, from there we have to control, right? Okay, so because from this study it seems that it can be found in drinking waters and also in the vegetable grown using recycled water. So do you think from where it's come from? How to control this? Okay, as a human being, okay, when we consume this drug, actually it's excreted from our body through the wastewater, right? Okay, so from the study, it seems that wastewater treatment plants are the major source of the pharmaceutical residue and when it's entering the environment. Yeah? It can be seen that from the literature, it was found that up to 60 to 70% of the consumed pharmaceutical illicit drug and the respective transformation products are not removed from the wastewater treatment plant. Meaning that if you want to control this type of the pharmaceutical residue, it can start from this WWTPs, wastewater treatment plant. So the treatment should be from there. So, and also at the same time, we have to know that the residue or the drugs, the pharmaceutical residue, once it's end up to the surface, it depends on the physical or chemical properties of that particular compound and also the setup of the wastewater treatment plant on how the treatment have been done in order to clean the water, right, before it, how the wastewater treatment plant treat the water of the wastewater treatment plant on how the treatment has been done in order so you can see here clean the water, right? This is one of example on how the importance of to control or to make sure that the removal of this pollutant should be here in the wastewater treatment plant. So based on the literature also, it seems that pharmaceutical or paracetamol is the example in the analgesic class, whereas the carbamazepine is have been found in the
Pharmaceutical
anti-epileptics class.
is the example in the analgesic class,
that
whereas
from this result it indicates that the pharmaceutical class is not generally govern the properties for the environmental occurrence of this residue in the water system. It's not depend on the class, but it's depend on several factors, perhaps the physical and the chemical properties of that drugs residue, as well as the prescriptions of that drugs by the community. Okay. So the other factor, this is the persistence and also the persistence of that particular pesticide pharmaceutical residue. How long it will persist in the water system when it, or how fast it will be degraded.
And also the persistence
once it's entering the
of that
environment.
particular pesticide.
So this is a little bit about the field of
How long it
this
will persist in the water system
on nutrition.
of
Once in the once it's entering the aquatic environment, the field and the persistence of this drug can vary considerably between the different compound, as I said just now, with some degrading very quickly. Perhaps it can be less toxic, will be degraded in an hour or a days or perhaps years. Yeah? So it's based on the half-life of that compound. Perhaps can exceed more than 1 year. Yeah? For example, here carbamazepine has a half-life about 2,400 to 10,000 hours. Whereas for the paracetamol has about half-life is about only 40 to 350 hours for the okay. This is we can see different compound have different half-lives. Yeah? So, however, the needs to further study the fate of this psychopharmaceutical in the aquatic system. Been done actually. There are no main for this type of drugs. So for the sharing session today, I'm going to share with you the work done by my student. The student have been done this PhD in 2015, 2018, just before COVID. So it was
session today. I'm going to
focus more on the multi-class pharmaceutical compound in water and wastewater. Detections of multi-residue with different psychochemical properties actually could reduce the efficiency of the extraction process, whereby reducing the sensitivity of detection. Okay? So in this study, actually the student will focus on two. The first one, perhaps in the instrumentation development, have been focused on the instrument itself and also the clean-up process during the extraction. So there are two parts here. So I will share later about this. So the student actually, when we talk about multi-pharmaceutical compound analysis, require two separate also the chromatographic methods. Meaning that when we use the LC-MSMS, okay, for the detection, in this case we are using the electrospray ionization, okay, source. Okay, for this, actually there are two different modes, positive ionization mode and negative ionization mode. Okay, so my student try to make it short for the analysis by using simultaneous determination, using negative and positive mode simultaneously in order to reduce the time for the analysis, at the same time increase the sensitivity. Okay, so at that time, conventional dual method for the wastewater treatment plant was entirely unsatisfactory because some of them complained from the previous study that the dual, if you use the dual mode at simultaneously, actually it will not give a good result. So my student proved that this is a wrong statement. So that's why we designed the work to prove that we can increase the sensitivity and also can increase the and reduce the time for the analysis using the simultaneous examination for this type of instrumentation. And then after that, the student also study on removal part. So we are not going to focus on this because the student also, because at that time I also have PhD student who doing to prepare the activated carbon from the biomass using cempedak. Cempedak here, right? So from the cempedak, one of other student berjaya menukarkan this biomass from kulit cempedak kepada activated carbon to remove a certain another pollutant in water system. So because they actually doing the work as a group at the same time, so this student also take initiative to use the activated carbon that we produce in our lab to remove this pharmaceutical at the end of the work after he have developed the method for the detection. Okay, and then after the student have applied the method for real sample, when he can detect the pharmaceutical in the wastewater treatment plant, so the student have do another step by introduce activated carbon in our lab to remove, comparing the activated carbon prepared in our lab by another student with the commercial one. And it seems that successfully done. So the objective of this study, okay, to identify acidic and basic pharmaceuticals simultaneously based on the screening method using LCMS, MS, and then to develop and validate a new method for determinations of multi-class pharmaceutical residue with different psychochemical properties using two different extraction method. One, the student will compare this SPE and also cartridge SPE. So which one is better for the extraction to improve and then to improve the sensitivity, to improve in terms of the clean up for the separation of the removal of the other matrix during the extractions, and at the same time this is more on the extraction method. And then finally the student assess how to remove this pharmaceutical residue in a water system using activated carbon. So these are the overall flow chart for the method development. It starts with the method development for the instrument itself. Okay, and then it goes to the method development for the SPE because the student use the different cartridge and also disc, so different. When we use a disc, okay, the porosity and then the material and then the design is different from the cartridge. And then after that, after the student have already come out with their own optimizing these two parameters for the instrument and also for the sample prep, then the student go for the sampling to the hospital wastewater treatment plant nearby our university, and then do the method validation before go for the application. So at the first stage, the student, okay, before you start doing the experiment, of course we have to design on the sampling part, right? Because when we, in this study, the student actually want to study the pharmaceutical residue in a wastewater. Okay, in order to study, we cannot study all compound, right? Because of the time frame, time constraint, on also because of the budget, the cost, right? So the student actually doing the survey to find out the top 40 pharmaceuticals utilizing for the
time frame,
prescriptions medicine in Malaysia obtained at that time from the Malaysian National Medicine Use Survey.
Right.
So from this survey, the student found what are the top 40 pharmaceutical, and then the student have done several categorize it in several classes of compound. Okay, it's depend, and the category have been chosen based on different psychochemical properties, polar, non-polar, and also acidic and basic drugs, based on that. So from that study, before he start the work, he has chosen 10 pharmaceutical, okay, for different class. The first one is salbutamol to treat asthma or agonist bronchodilator, okay, and then the number 2 is metformin, is anti-diabetic. The third one, nifedipine, this is for anti-hypertension. Okay. The fourth was simvastatin, this is the lipid lowering agent. phenanapic, mefenamic acid, analgesic. Ibuprofen, this is the common for the analgesic and nampak ke? Analgesic. Diclofenac, this is also anti-inflammatory and analgesic, and perindopril, this is antihypertensive. Okay, so this is out of 40, only choose this 10. But for the publication, we just choose 7 from this. Okay? So this is the instrument we use Agilent. I found that in the university you also have this instrument, right? Shimadzu brand. So we in our, this is quite old, it's about more than 10 years. At that time when the students start doing the work, at that time the instrument just purchased in 2015, and the student have chances to go for the training during the commissioning, and the first time we purchased at 2015 this instrument. This is a triple quad instrument. Okay, for the triple quad instrument, is indicated, this is LC, MS, MS, Q, 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 3 times. So we call it as triple quad. This type of instrument is different from the time of life or cutoff, right? Because this more on the quantitative one. That one is more for the identification. It's more on a natural product, right? You want to, for example, if you want to identify the known compound, then time of life is better. Okay, this dedicated for the trace analysis. So we use this for this method development. So for the method development, before we start with the introduce to the real sample, we have to optimize several parameters for the LC and also for the mass spec as well. And then also that's for the sample prep. So for the optimizations of this instrument, of course, we have to select the column, the best stationary phase, mobile phase, and we have to identify the compositions of mobile phase, identify the pH of mobile phase, optimizing the flow rates of the mobile phase, optimizing the temperature of the column, and also optimizing the pH of the extracted sample matrix. So the student have done this. So to make this short, this is the result based on this. So from this study, it's the student has studied the effect of mobile phase additive material on the ionization. Because we use ESI, electrons pre-ionizations, okay, for this LCMS-MS. So normally, if for this type of ESI, we have to add additive for the mobile phase, right? So normally we use acetic acid or formic acid. So the student have to study which one is better, okay, for this particular study. So in this case, because the student have to do the dual mode, negative and positive, so the best one is for the ammonium acetate, acetic acid as a buffer system for this, okay? And then meaning that acetic acid is used as the additive material for this study. But normally, if you go for the just one mode, ionization positive or negative, normally the formic acid is better rather than acetic acid. And then for the, in this study, because the student have to do the dual mode simultaneously, so the student have to make it which one we can get the best signal for both negative and positive. So in this study, the student have chosen pH 10 because it seems that for certain compound, the signal will be increased when the pH increase to up to pH 10. But for simvastatin, the signal will reduce from pH 2 to pH 11. So the student to have to, so we have to come out with the best pH because we want to go for the dual mode, negative and positive ionization mode at the same time. And so the best pH we use for this study is pH 10. Whereas for the flow rate for mobile phase on the ionization efficiency, it seems that we have used in the range 0.1 to 0.2, 0.2, 0.25, 0.3 up to 0.35. So it seems that the result shows that the ionization efficiency decreases with the increasing the flow rate of the mobile phase for all analyte. Okay, perhaps this is due to the incomplete evaporations of the sample and the solvent after the sample is sprayed into the ion source. Because
efficiency decreases with the increase.
It is because the large amount of volume introduced to the ion source in the short time.
Perhaps this is due to the incomplete evaporations of.
Okay, so this is the LCMS parameter that we use. Okay, after the optimization. So in this study, solvent A is we use a 0.025% acetic acid with the same percentage of ammonium acetate in HPLC water, whereas the solvent B is methanol. And then the flow rate chosen 0.2 milliliter per minute. The column temperature 25 degrees Celsius, and then the flow rate within this 0.1002, and the injection volume is 3 microliter. Whereas for the MS condition, the temperature, gas temperature 225, with the gas flow 15 liter per minute with nebulizer SPI 45 FPSI. So for the MS optimization, because we use a tandem mass spec, of course we have to use the precursor ion first, right? From the MS, and then from the precursor ion, then we try to find out what is the best ionic product for that particular compound that we want to detect, right? Okay, so for this part, actually, we have to go for the optimizing the CE. Okay, collision energy, CE energy. So if you want to study this for the product ion, we have to optimize each parameter. If you want to study simultaneously 10 compound, so you have to optimize every single compound for the ion product to get the best CE, collision energy for each. So you have to optimize it. This part. Okay. And this is the total ion chromatogram for the all compound. It seems that the ibuprofen is very low. You cannot see the peak here, right? It's very, very low. That's why, because it's using another negative mode. The others all using the positive mode, because of the properties is different. Okay, so this is the result that we get for each negative and positive mode for all these compound that we study. The sensitivity and analysis time of UPLC-MS separation method for the dual ionization and the positive and negative were compared. So by using this dual ionization method, reduce the analysis time without significant effects on the sensitivity of the method. This is the research finding from this work. So when you use this dual mode, it also will reduce the time. Time for individual is about 28 minutes, but for this one, can be reduced to only 16 minutes. So this is based on the result for both. You can see that the one is for the ibuprofen, the others for the rest of the compound detected. So this is the solid phase extraction we use, okay? And then for the D's cartridge, actually we get offer from the company at that time, Supelco. And then the owner of that company, that for the Prince Balco, actually our alumni, So the manager, this is the boss, actually they give permission to us to rent their disc and then with the manifold, because they sell this disc without the, because we only purchase the cartridge, right? The disc is very expensive, so we just purchase the membrane disc, and then we have been given permission to use the manifold and then the facilities in their lab at that time. So the student went there because because for this for the real water, when you use the cartridge, actually it will stuck because the amount of water is quite large, right? We have about 500, 300 ml per sample, right? So when we've gone through this and then it's slow, it will clog to the cartridge. This is the difficulty that we have if you want to go solid phase extraction at that time, because we just focus on that. So the company have, so we have chances to use the disc. So we compare, it seems that the disc is better. Okay, this is, you can find it from the papers that have been published for this work. Okay? So basically, I want to share the idea that for the method development, of course, we have to optimize every parameter, and nowadays we can use also software even to go for the optimization, right? But at that time, we just use manually, but more 10 years ago. But nowadays, perhaps we have to use other DOE or other software, right? For the optimizing this parameter, even for the sample prep. So this is the result after the SPE optimization. So we realized that the best absorbing material, we use the HLB from Spelco for this SPE cartridge. And then at the same time, we have to choose, because when we use a cartridge, actually different brand have different manual. What we call the procedure is different, and even the solvent use also different little bit. So but we managed to get the best one. So we have to follow all the instruction by the vendor for every different cartridge that we purchase from the vendor. So to make it short, actually this is the optimization part that normally we use for optimizing. We have to optimize the volume of elution material when you use SPE. Okay, and the main things here, okay, I want to highlight here the metric effects. If you use the drinking water, it's easy, right? Because there is no metric effects, perhaps. But because we are dealing with wastewater, okay, the metric is quite complex, right? So in order to assess the metric effects, so we have to make sure that there is no metric effects, because when we have metric effects during this analysis, actually we suppress or enhance the real signal of each pollutant that we want to detect, right? So in this study, the method that we use to eliminate or reduce the metric effects is by using the diluting sample. Just we dilute the sample. And then the student, what we did, after that, we have to calculate the signal suppression based on the formula given there. So okay, from this slide, actually it shows that after 3 times of dilution, okay, signal suppressions will be less. So you get a better result. And then the student went for the sampling, go for the tap water and sewage effluents and influent. Okay, so the student go to the hospital wastewater treatment plant, get permission from the ready care, who what we call as the management by this ready care company. So we get the permission from this, and then go for the wastewater. And then at that time, we also contact IWK. This is Indah Water company for treatment our wastewater in a domestic one. So to get the permission to get, they will give the permission, but we have to sign agreement, because the student have to go to sewage, right, down there, and then because for safety reason, because when we go for the sampling, it seems that we want to collect this wastewater at the level that the oxygen level is quite low, right? So to make sure that the safety of the student, we have to sign agreement. So at that time, we didn't want to go for very complicated and then for the safety issue as well. So we just focus on the small wastewater treatment plant from the hospital. Okay, and then my friends have that joined this project also from UITM. At that time, she actually have done the work with the wastewater treatment at their hostel. Because at UITM they have their own wastewater treatment plant, the small one, and then just the student doing the project and then just take from their own wastewater treatment at their residential hostel. So from there, actually we learn something. Okay, so this is how the student done. We just modified their own just innovation, just take because at this also we have to step down about certain height, also go down from the ground level to take water for this. And then once we collect the water from this, we have to preserve it using ascorbic acid and also sodium azide, okay, to stop the microbe activity and for the preservation, and start the work. And then sample prep, this is for the real sample that we take, okay. And then after that, we go for the clean up for the using this that I mentioned just now, okay. So and also, so from this method validation, as usual, we have to look at, when we do method validation, we have to look at the LOD, LOQ, limit of detection, limit of quantification, and also we also have IDL, instrumental detection limit, okay, to measure the sensitivity of the method that we develop. And for the precisions of the result, of course, we have to go for the intraday and interday. And for the accuracy for the result, we go for the recovery, right? This is the common parameter that we use for the method development, method validation, and then the R square that we get for the linearity. So the basic parameter for method validation have been done. Okay, the result get actually within the standard method. Okay. Okay, from this, so this is the result. When we compare the disc and cartridge, of course, it seems that the result from the disc is better than cartridge used for the solid phase extraction. Yeah. And then when we compare the performance of we develop with the method that have been done by previous work, it seems that our method is more the sample from effluent and effluent, and at the same time we introduce our we use our activated carbon prepared in our lab to remove this pharmaceutical residue, and it seems that it can remove, okay, some of it. Okay? This is based on the this is from the okay, this one actually is not from our activated carbon, but this is from the wastewater treatment plant from the site. Okay, so we compare the influent and effluent before and after the treatment have been done at that wastewater treatment plant. It seems that not all have been removed. So some of this is still appear, it still exists in the system when it's discharged this water to the drain. Okay? So this is how the work has been done for the removal of pharmaceutical. Okay, this is the common step for the removal. Okay, so I'm not to go in detail about this, but I just want to share that the method that we use for the removal, it seems that it can remove using our method that our activated carbon that we prepare in the lab. So as a conclusion, it seems that we have successfully developed the method for simultaneous determinations of the using negative and positive mode simultaneously to increase sensitivity and reduce the analysis time. Okay, and then we have already successfully proved that this SPE have better performance in terms of recovery, sensitivity, rapidness, and also metric effects compared to the SPE cartridge. And then from the wastewater that in the real sample, actually we also can detect the concentration up to 59.4 microgram per liter, and within this range, 59.4 to 1.76 microgram per liter in influent and affluent. So I think that's all. Okay, this is the two papers. Actually, the work done by the student. Okay, the student actually have already published 3 papers based on this work. Okay, 2 of them that I present today, based on the 2 title, UPLCM-SMS Screening Method for Simultaneous Identification and Characterizations of Acidic and Basic Pharmaceutical. These have been published in International Journal of Environmental Analytical Chemistry in November 2018. Whereas another paper, this solid phase extraction of multi-class pharmaceutical residue in tap water and hospital wastewater prior to UPLCMS analysis. These have been published in 2018 also in RSC Advance. So before that, I want to acknowledge these research actually have been supported by UC Malaya, our internal grant under UMRG program 2018. This is the grant that we have. Also the student at that time also have their own grant, PG 044 2013A, meaning that at that time the student PhD or master student, when they register, automatically they will be given a grant at that time. So the student have their own grant based on the title. So the panel will evaluate based on how much money actually needed for that particular project. So at that time, the student will be given based on the budget that year. So the student have amount of money, their own money, to run the work. At the same time, we also have the grant from the UMRG project. So these are the 3 publications from this study. Okay, the last one is the effect of mobile phase pH on the electrospray ionization efficiency and qualitative analysis of pharmaceutical in ESI, LCM, SMS. So with that, thank you for your attention.
Baik, terima kasih banyak Pak Prof. Nur Kartini. Selanjutnya kita akan masuki pada sesi tanya jawab. Bapak Ibu yang di ruangan yang mau mengajukan pertanyaan silakan. Kemudian Bapak Ibu yang bergabung di Zoom boleh menuliskan pertanyaannya di kolom message. Pada Bapak Ibu dipersilahkan. Yang mau bertanya mahasiswa kayak rajin-rajin tadi ya. Banyak yang nulis-nulis di belakang tadi. Ya, silakan. Langsung aja nggak apa-apa. Suara bisa kedengaran.
Check. Okay, from the research using the carbon active from Cepeda, is that using some modification for the carbon active or using only the Cepeda to reduce the the matrix from the wastewater, or only the Cepeda that using to remove it? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay. Basically, the student, we can use chemical activation, right, or physical, right? So this student actually use a steam only physical activation without any chemical. And then she actually the result is good. And then another student doing also on chromium. Another student, my PhD student also from Nigeria, try their own method. Just try the cempedak, kulit cempedak tu, and then grind without do any treatment. Also can remove the chromium. Because that, so at that time, all the students doing this different project. I have 3 different PhD students at the same time doing different project, but they quite interested to use this cempedak, the kulit cempedak, right? So one another student, when I asked, he just grind and then use it, but I didn't ask in detail how he did. But the student, the name of student is Gita. You can search my name with the student PhD, Gita, on the octopus, right? And this, right? So you can get a paper on this, my paper with the student. So to answer the question, this activated carbon, just we use a steam physical activation. If I'm mistaken, yes, we didn't do any chemical.
Can I ask more, Professor? And how much the absorbent capacity of that adsorbent?
I can't remember, but you can have a look at the paper itself. The latest one I did, but not published yet, from the stem, banana stem. And then one have been done also undergraduate student doing this for FYP. Yeah, for the FYP, we didn't publish, but the student have done present during the final year symposium, and then but the student used the chemical because we didn't have facilities for the steam, because this one is a special one, right? So your physical, and then you have to get the immediate atmosphere, and then you have the steam. And there's a system. There is modifications of the right, because at that time we didn't have that facility. So in order to just expose the student, we just use the chemical activation for the latest one by my student on the batang pisang. But still can use. It's very interesting, right?
Thank you, Professor.
Oke, yang mau bertanya silahkan. Ini topik research-nya banyak ini, Prof, di sana. Banyak ini ya. Yang iya. Oke, yang lain silakan Bapak Ibu. Ya, silakan.
Baik, terima kasih atas kesempatannya Bapak. My name is Wahid Irsyad from Chemistry Department Angkatan 2021. I would like to ask about in earlier, the professor mentioned that the matrix has very influential in wastewater on the analysis. So my question is, what type of matrix that is very influential that we must remove during the sample preparation? Oh, okay. When we go to sample matrix, it depends on the, okay, for example, if you go food, right? Food is complex matrix, yeah? Because if you want to study the pharmaceutical, pesticide residue from the foods, right? Food, you have sugar, you have sometimes you have carbohydrate, you have lipid. It depends on what type of fruit, right? So when you want to extract the pesticide residue from this fruit, this food or fruit, actually you have to eliminate. Or if you're from the fruit, then you have to remove coloring before you inject the extract, the pure extract into the system, right? So in order, when we, okay, I can show you this. So in order to, there is one, if you want to know whether your sample matrix needs to go for standard addition method or not, Because when we go for instrumental analysis, for quantitative analysis, of course, we have to prepare a calibration curve, right? We use external calibration curve. This is a common, right? Okay. But at certain stage, we need to use standard addition method. When we realize that there is a metric effect, so we have to use the standard addition method. Standard addition method meaning if you prepare the calibration curve using external, then you use the deionized water or you use the DC water, right, to prepare the standard. The metric that you prepare is different from the metric of your sample. So if you want to know whether there is a metric effect, so you have to perform the calibration curve using two different matrices and to see whether there is you get the same line or you have a different deviation. So from there you may know there is a metric effect. Yeah? But normally when we can just guess or think based on the metric that we found, because we know for drinking water, of course, there is no metric effect, right? But when you deal with the water, when you deal with the brain tissue, with you on the food, this is a complex matrices. Of course, there is a metric effect. And then when you know this, so you have to use the standard addition method. Standard addition method meaning that if let's say you plot an external calibration curve from 0.2 to 2, for example, ppm, right? For the external, you have used distilled water only or deionized water, right? To prepare the standard. You spike standard with the concentration and then prepare, right, in volumetric flask. But for standard addition method, your sample matrix, you add the sample and then you add the standard into your sample solution. For example, I have water, right? So you have to add the standard into your sample metric, not to the deionized water, to perform the calibration curve. And then when you get the calibration curve for the standard addition method is different a little bit because it will pass through the negative one. Okay, so you have one, and then from there you may calculate the calculation, the concentration, right? So I think you familiar with the standard addition method, right? So when we realize that there is a metric effect, then you have to go for the standard addition method. This is a bit advice. But the student didn't. Because the student deal with the wastewater, and one of there are so many options can be used, right? If I know, can I share with you this now? So the student have chosen the diluting. Okay, this one. Okay, so this is the method on how to reduce and eliminate the. Oh, sorry. Okay, just check. Sorry. Okay, this is a method on how to increase the signal, right? This is based on the instrument. This is based on the instrument, how we reduce metric effects, right? That one, we also can use the standard addition method. But normally this is based on the sample prep, right? Am I right? Right. Okay. So you know what that, right?
Yang lainnya, Bapak Ibu, ada lagi kira-kira? Atau mungkin topik selain ini boleh ya, Prof ya? Mungkin kemungkinan riset kerjasama seperti itu. Atau saya yang bertanya ini, Prof. Kira-kira riset kerjasama bisa nggak peluangnya ini, Prof? Kita ada.
Saya bidang saya, okay, mungkin saya terangkan sedikit lah. Saya more on method development. So saya start with the method analysis. Method analysis using AAS, ICP. I start with this. So after that, I went to Spain
for 4 months. Learned how you use at that time, 2010. So I learned on how to use LCMS cutoff during the sabbatical. So from there, when I come back, so I know a little bit about this, how to use the LCMS cutoff at that time. And then we purchased the new one, triple pot. So from there, I start doing the method development for the pharmaceutical pesticide residue. Okay, start with this. So when I get familiar with LCMS, then I go for halal. When I've been deputy director for the Halal Research Center, so I have to focus on halal. At that time, stop a little bit this, and then go channel my research work on halal. At that time, we start with the biosensor using imprinted molecular MIP for as a membrane for the biosensor. Okay, at that time to develop sensor for detections of pork grunt. And then after that, I move on when I realized that even though you use a biosensor, this is like a screening technique only, right? When you use a sensor for detection of the pork, for example. So I move on the qPCR. Based on that, qPCR, but more focused on at the time, I have a grant for the DNA extraction method to get a good so finish with that. And then I have only one student ongoing using metabolomic, also for the gelatin. So still ongoing for PhD, the same thing on halal. This is about my work done currently. Okay, but there is some with other collaborator, but this is more on my part, my contribution in this analysis research. I think that's all from me.
Okay. Baik, terima kasih banyak Ibu Prof. Nur. Mungkin karena tidak ada lagi yang bertanya, ini saya lihat di Zoom juga tidak ada. Kita ucapkan alhamdulillah dan kita beri aplaus terlebih dahulu kepada Ibu. Selanjutnya kepada MC ya.
Ya, oh oke, jangan.
Baik, apresiasi yang luar biasa dulu kepada para narasumber dan moderator kita pada hari ini. Boleh berikan tepuk tangan Bapak Ibu semua? Perlu kami informasikan sedikit kepada para penanya, nantinya akan dihubungi oleh panitia untuk mendapatkan door prize. Acara selanjutnya, penyerahan kenang-kenangan berupa sertifikat kepada narasumber kita. Dimohon untuk Ibu Asosiat Profesor Dr. Nur Kartini untuk berdiri di depan. Dan kami undang Ibu Dr. Diana Vandawelia MSI selaku Manajer Bidang 1 Fakultas Mipa untuk menyerahkan sertifikat. Baik, selanjutnya mungkin ada penyerahan kenang-kenangan dari University Malaya kepada Fakultas MIPA Universitas Andalas. Selanjutnya dimohon kepada Baik, dipersilakan kepada Bapak Ibu untuk duduk kembali. Acara selanjutnya yaitu penyerahan kenang-kenangan berupa sertifikat kepada moderator hebat kita. Itu akan diserahkan oleh Ibu Dr. Diana Vandawelia MSI. Baik, untuk acara selanjutnya yaitu sesi foto bersama. Diharapkan kepada Bapak Ibu rekan-rekan mahasiswa untuk berdiri di depan. Oh, di sini.
Oh, saya mau sini. Again.
Baik, kita akan melakukan sesi foto bersama. Dipersilakan kepada Bapak Ibu tamu undangan untuk menyiapkan gaya terbaiknya. Kita bisa belajar bersama-sama, menambah wawasan dan meraih keberkahan dari Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada narasumber, moderator, dan Bapak Ibu tamu undangan beserta rekan-rekan mahasiswa yang telah hadir pada hari ini. Untuk itu